Hello, so today we're going to be learning how to create this MACD histogram chart. And I actually grabbed this off of, this is actually a strategy. The template was online. I can't, so for some reason I can't find the originator. But what it is basically is every time your MACD gives you one of these, whenever it pops down from a positive area, from a positive region, and pops down, you take basically you're gonna take a short position, and then when it crosses back up, you want to take a long position. So this is what this strategy is all about. And the more periods you have, the more signals you should have, and of course, the more volatile, the more interesting your chart should get. So basically, this is all the analysis. As you can see, um, this is for Google, and zoom in here. This is actually weekly data. So since 9/2/2011, it hasn't been a very positive. We've had actually a few, as you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have actually had we have lost 84.64 points, and that's just basically off of one share. So you can see you could tweak it, you can mess around with it, but I'm just showing you the very basics, because MACD is basically just the as you can see from any like freestockcharts.com. Whenever you plot this MACD histogram, it'll show you 12, 26, and 9, and that's what this is all about. So, I mean, this is just for Google, and this is just weekly data. Of course, weekly data is relatively a lot can happen in a week, and a lot can be missed. So that is why I decided to take a look at Google, but we're gonna do the dailies. And this is, instead of 2011, we're just going to take a look at last year's data, but basically a year's worth, and see where that can see what results we can get with that. So what you want to do is, once you have your all your data, you want to put that on a sheet. Again, double check to make sure that they're in order, because sometimes it'll give you from the most recent. It'll start from the most recent to the oldest. So you want to change that to the oldest to from oldest to newest. So what you want to do is, once you have that, you want to open a new sheet. Label that however you want. I'm going to skip over to column Z. And it's just off of preference, because I want this whole region to be where my chart is going to be, just so we could visualize. And so the first thing we need is time, and that's labeled in days. The date, stock price, EMA fast, EMA slow, MACD, which is equal to the fast minus the slow, signal, MACD histogram equals MACD minus the signal. I'm just labeling these. Later on we're gonna wrap the text, but for now we're just gonna label them. The next is the position. Opening price, opening position price. your profit. So what you want to do is grab these, center them, hit your wrap text. We're gonna have EMA fast, EMA slow, and then we're gonna have your signal. And these are 12, 26, and 9. These are the most most common, I guess you could call them. But I'm just gonna put them on the side here instead of actually putting them in on the formula, just because we could actually change them later on. Say if we grab the weekly, you could change this to, I don't know, 5, and see the whole analysis change, and then so did your actual MACD histogram. So that is why I want to keep them separate from the actual analysis. Again, we are going to, let's see. Okay, so we're going to start off on date. So for the date, you're going to hit equals, put them, go back to your analysis, all of your data, hit enter, and there's 250 values, so you're going to scroll down to your 250th value. There we go. So now, next you want to calculate the days. For this one, you're just going to hit 0. And for the second, you're going to hit, it's basically this one here, minus, you're going to hit $, AA, $2, which is basically I'm subtracting the difference in days. It's just 1. But, so the next one should just be, I hit the $signs because I want to always trace whatever the next number is back to the very original value. So I'm just going to double click here, and as you can see, we are, as of today, we're on the 361st day from the start of our analysis. The stock price, you're going to hit equals, go back. You can use whatever, either open, high, low, close, but we're gonna use close. Again, double click. For your very first values of EMA fast and EMA slow, we're just gonna use the stock price. I should do column by column. Okay, so for your very first, for the EMA fast, your very first, let me see if I can zoom in. Your very first formula here on AC3 is going to be, you're going to hit equals, you're going to use AB3, which is this, your closing price, divided by, and then you're going to hit your EMA fast, which is located AL3 plus parentheses 1 minus 1 divided by your EMA fast again, but you want to use the $sign because you always want to trace the next value back to the EMA fast for this column, AL3. And then parentheses times the previous, so which is located on AC2. You're going to hit enter, you're going to get a value, round that to 2 decimal places, double click, and it's basically it's going to be the same formula, but instead of using the EMA fast, we're going to use the EMA slow. So again, I'll do it You could copy and paste it and just change the slow, but I'll type it again. It's AB3 divided by AL4, which is your slow, plus parentheses 1 minus 1 divided by AL4 times AD2, which is your previous. Hit enter, round that to 2 decimal places, double click, and for this one, it's just telling you what's the MACD, which is equal to the fast minus slow. So you're going to subtract fast minus slow, so it should equal 0. Double click here, it's going to give you a whole range of numbers, but we want to round that to, should have done that. If it doesn't let you decrease the number of decimal places, because it's 0, so just go to the next one, do the same thing, and it should let me do it now. See, it's 2 decimal places. Just hit double click it. It didn't let me because it's 0 and it's saying, well, it's basically just the general number. It's not an actual it's just a number, 0. There's nothing behind it. So again, for the signal, it's basically the same. It's the same process, but for the starting, we're gonna use 0. It's gonna be the same formula as these, but instead of using the fast and slow, we're gonna use the 9, the signal. So to do the very first one, we're gonna hit equals AE3 divided by $AL $5 plus 1 minus 1 $AL $5, and then times your previous, which is AE2. Oh goodness, it's AF. Let's see here. Retype that. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. See what we get here. Should give us the same. So the signal. Okay, yeah, I was right. Then double click here. You're gonna get a signal. You're just gonna get a value, and so the MACD histogram. In order to do that, for the first value is 0, and then you do the MACD minus the signal. Double click here. You should get your MACD histogram. These are your actual values for the histogram. For the position, first one is 0, and then what you want to do is hit if. We're going to use an if equation. If AG3, which is our signal, our MACD histogram, I'm sorry, if AG3 is greater than 0, then what we want to do is we're going to go long, which is 1. If not, just leave it at -1. If it's not greater than 0, then we're short. Hit enter. Right away we get a negative signal because it's negative. So double click that. You're going to get a range of values here. For this one, opening position price. You're going to skip one. Very first one is AB3, the very first close for this row. Hit enter, and then we're going to write another if equation, which is if parentheses AH4, which is the position, is equal to AH3, if they're equal, then we're gonna do we're gonna basically buy that price, and if not, this price. So I forgot parentheses. So basically saying the opening price here was -1, and right when it changed, we basically sold it at this price. So if you double click that, it should give you some are repeated here. So to explain that, we're just saying, okay, since this one is the same as this one, we've been long 609 basically is what we're saying, and then right when it switches, we're short at 605, which is that closing price. It was a closing price right here, and we remain short until we get another signal. Oh, and there it goes. That next day we got a signal, and so you see how it flips. So it might be a profitable strategy. We'll see. I don't know. But basically that's all this is for the opening position price. So again, it's negative, so we want to go short at this price because that was our closing price. So right when it switched back to negative, we're short. Again, this is a short signal saying stay short, and then boom, we get hit with the long signal. So we'll see if it's profitable on this profitable column, which is we're gonna go 3. So in order to see if it's profitable or not, we're gonna hit if AH4 is equal to AH3, then it's 0. Parentheses. If not, AI4 minus AI3 parentheses times AH3. It's a bit complicated. So total profit for this, we actually lost $2.93. Double click here. You see it's not as profitable. I'm seeing a lot of negatives here. But in the long run, we'll see if it pays off or not. And again, you could change these values here and tweak it until you see a change, or you see that your your profits start increasing. And to do that, we're gonna hit results. We're gonna merge these two, and then last cell index. You write last cell index for this row here. Stock price on last day. Last position strategy. Last opening price. Profit last transaction, and total gross profit. And that looks weird, so we're just gonna double click AK here just to expand our rows here. So for the last cell index, and I don't know these by heart, so in order for the results to take effect, we're gonna just copy these down, and I'll explain them later. So just put count A Z through Z, and then hit enter. So last cell index is saying it's the very last one is on the 250th. So again, it's right there, 250. stock price on last day. In order to calculate that, you're gonna hit equals indirect. You can hit AB. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can zoom in a little. So indirect AB, and you're gonna hit and AL $9. So again, it's using them as coordinates basically, and it's locating it. So the stock price on the last day is 775.6, and we take a look here. The very last day, there we go. It's 775.6. Scroll back up. Last position and strategy. Again, we're going to use one of these indirects. It's indirect. Let me see if I can zoom in. Indirect. And then quotation marks. For AH and AL 9 minus 1. I forgot parentheses. So last position on strategy, we've been long. There it is. Been long. It's the last position. Last opening price. We're gonna hit equals indirect parentheses quotation marks AI quotation marks and AL minus 1 parentheses again. Hit enter. Sorry, do wrong. Oh, I forgot the 9. AL9. So last opening price. So the last opening price showed here is 741, and that's the last opening. That's the last time we've. So ever since the last signal, we've been long at 741.5. Okay, so the very last profit on the last transaction is equal to AL10 minus AL12 times AL11. So the difference between the last opening price, the stock price on the last day and the last opening price, times your position, last position and strategy, will give you a result of. So as of, if we were to sell at the close, we would have collected 34 points, which is 34 points per share, which is pretty good. Now to see the total overall over all these periods, to see if it's profitable or not, is you're gonna hit. Let's see if I could zoom in because it's a pretty long formula. So it's equals, and it's the sum, and then you're gonna type indirect, and then parentheses, quotations, AJ 4 quotations, and then again quotations, colon, AJ quotations, and then it's AL9, and then you're going to close your parentheses and then close them for the indirect plus AL13, and then you're going to hit enter. Zoom in. So the strategy, if you would have followed this strategy since last year, you would have collected 45 45 points. I'll just round 45.21 points if you would have bought at the close, and that is per share. So as you can see, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good strategy. Zoom out, and then now we're gonna graph it. So how you want to graph this is you're gonna hit the date. We're gonna need the date, and then we're gonna need the MACD histogram. So we're gonna need these two columns. Go back here, charts, clustered column. Gonna pull this up. So here's your histogram pretty much. Now what we're gonna do is we wanna actually also graph. Let me see what's the range here. 2, and what's the lowest? Negative 3.10. I'm just gonna adjust it a little bit. Negative 3.2. Now we're gonna graph our actual EMAs and the signal. So you're gonna hit date. You're gonna grab the signal, and you're also gonna graph the MACD. So you're gonna need these three. And how you want to do that is, I'm just scrolling left and right. So what you want to need to do is plot it on the line, and we're going to put this, just put it right on top of the MACD histogram. So you're gonna put it right on as closely as possible to the other one. You're gonna lay them on top of each other. So well, now we covered the bottom one, right? So you want to get rid of this background here. And how you want to do that? Basically erase everything. You could leave the legend. No data labels. No data table. Axis. No axis. Vertical axis. No axis either. Grid lines. No. Vertical grid lines. No. Format. Fill. No fill. We hit the outer parts of this of the graph. Fill again. No fill. So now what you need to do is you need to adjust it so the values are as closely possible as your actual MACD histogram. Let's see, is that close enough? Can't really tell. I think so. Okay, so basically, you see how these, let me see if I could probably, well, you pretty much get the point here. Like, you see a trend, and your signal has been rising, even though your MACD histogram has been pretty much been sideways, and then all of a sudden you get this little break, and it turns negative, but it doesn't go back up, and your actual negative MACD histograms keep going down, and it's a pretty nice call actually here, and it bottomed out here, and now we're back on an uptrend. And as you can see, this uptrend has already broken this signal here, and it most likely will retest this signal back here at the top. And you could just you could tell it's 5, or let's see here, if you want to call the very top, it's 5 of October 2012. And if you want to take a look what that value was, which was 767. We pretty much blew away since we were at 775. But I mean, the potential to run to, I don't know, 800 plus is pretty strong. Noting the signal here. So there it is. That's how you graph the histogram. The reason why I plotted the actual values on the first sheet is just in case you want to leave this format, all this analysis, you want to leave all this here on this sheet. All you need to do is download the data and just copy and paste it, and it'll do all your analysis for you. You don't have to copy down all these values or anything. And again, if you want to actually change, your values to, say, 20 and 50, it'll do that right away, and it'll change your whole MACD histogram, even your values. But again, you want to take out your total gross profit and see if it's really worth it. So if you have any questions or any questions regarding this, please let me know. Try to help you out. Okay? Alright, thanks.